Hey, what is going on, guys? It's Payne here, and today we are going to be doing a guide and showcase of none other than ZHONGLI himself. Figured I'd release this alongside the Ganyu video I made, so you guys can decide for yourselves which one you want to pull. Now, when we're deciding between Ganyu and ZHONGLI, there are two major things you really want to consider, and I wanted to go over those with you real quick. If you are struggling to beat the Abyss because you are dying constantly, I think ZHONGLI is a great pickup. His shield is really good. It's going to make it so you're basically invincible to anything that isn't corrosion damage. And even with corrosion damage, if you pair him with a healer, you're going to be just fine. Now, if you're struggling to complete Abyss in the time limit, I would recommend pulling for Ganyu instead, because she's going to be a very powerful DPS that is going to shave down your runtime significantly. ZHONGLI isn't really going to do that. His damage output is good, obviously, and he's very strong support. However, he is not going to be the character that is going to shave down your runtime significantly. He is just there to keep you alive and provide support when needed. That being said, let's get into the guide. First thing I want to talk about are going to be his weapon choices. Now, you have a couple different options with ZHONGLI. He's not really picky when it comes to weapons or artifacts, if we're being honest. So the main things you want to consider with ZHONGLI, his signature weapon, I would never recommend rolling for this. It's not very good, but if you already have it for him, it's a fine choice. Obviously, Staff of Home is going to be his best in slot with a huge crit damage substat, as well as increased HP to buff his entire kit. Next option we have Engulfing Lightning, not really going to do much for him. It will increase his burst damage a bit, increase a little bit of attack. However, it's definitely not going to be the first choice, and if you have this weapon already, you're most likely running it on Raiden. So again, this is not one of my recommendations, but if you don't have anything else, it's going to be a fine choice. Primordial Spear, you can run it if you want to do a main DPS ZHONGLI, but if you're not doing that and you're running him as a support, as, you know, I believe he is intended, this is just going to be a crit rate stat stick mainly, as well as giving you a good high base attack. Skyward Spine is actually a pretty good choice for him as well. Gives you a little bit of energy recharge, high base attack. Mine's R5, so you can kind of ignore this passive because at R1, the passive is pretty negligible. But it does give you a little bit of crit rate, and this other physical damage trigger doesn't really matter since you're not going to be using his autos that much. Unless, of course, you want to do main DPS ZHONGLI. But if you do main DPS ZHONGLI, I feel like you really got to have either Staff of Home or Vortex Vanquisher to make him work. That being said, 4-star options. He does have a couple different ones. Favonius Lance is going to be really good for him. It's going to provide a lot of energy recharge, generate a bunch of particles. Just make sure you have the crit rate to back it up. Other 4 stars, you could run the Deathmatch as well as a crit stat stick, or if you're really desperate and you want to play main DPS but you don't have one of the 5 stars, you can run Crescent Pike. But again, not going to recommend that to everybody. Next, let's talk about his artifacts. Now, obviously, 4-piece Millilith I think is going to be his best in slot for a support-oriented ZHONGLI. It's a set that was tailor-made for him. You're going to get increased shield strength and HP from his passive, and then you're also going to get even more shield strength and an attack buff to all party members that are protected by his shield, as well as his elemental skill every time it ticks is going to help the attack of your party members as well, as you can read from this passive right here. That being said, if you do not have a 4-piece Tenacity because you weren't farming it, I completely understand. It's kind of an obscure set. It's not good on a ton of characters, and, you know, Pale Flame is pretty stinky. I don't think physical damage is, you know, that great. However, if you do not have the 4-piece Tenacity, you could do a combination of 2-piece Tenacity, 2-piece Archaic Petra, 2-piece Archaic Petra, 2-piece Noblesse, or if you want to go for a full support-oriented build and you already have a full Noblesse set, you could run him a full Noblesse as well. You could also give him a little bit of energy recharge, but due to his ultimate only costing 40 energy, I don't think that is going to be the best option for him. So if you really do want to min-max ZHONGLI as best as possible, I would say either run him on the 4-piece Tenacity, the Millilith, or you could do a combination of 2-piece Tenacity, 2-piece Archaic Petra, or 2-piece Archaic Petra, 2-piece Noblesse. Those are my recommendations as far as artifacts are concerned. Let's move on to his constellations. Now, his constellations are not necessary at all. ZHONGLI is one of the best units that you can get at C0, which is another great reason to pull for him. However, if you do want to go for constellations, C1 and C2 are going to be his big ones. C1 is going to give you an extra charge of the Dominus Lapidus that can exist at the same time. That's going to just increase your DPS output because they're going to be able to resonate with each other. Next one, this one is really only very good for co-op. However, it does enable you to keep the 100% uptime on his shield a little easier, even in single player. But again, if you don't play a lot of co-op, I do not think that the C2 is necessary. So I would probably just stick with C1 and below. Now, his other constellations, this is going to increase the AoE of his ultimate, as well as giving you some extra petrification, which is pretty nice. And then C3 and C5 are normal scaling as usual. And then his C6 is going to let you run him in comps without a healer. It's going to give you a little bit of HP every time his shield takes damage. I don't expect most people are going to try to go for C6, but if you do get it, it's really not going to add much to him in my opinion, especially because you usually want to run somebody like Bennett or one of the other healers alongside him as well, because the HP regeneration on this is going to be pretty negligible, especially if you're in the Abyss or you're being affected by corrosion. Let's go over his talents next. Now, main things I would prioritize with his talents are going to be his E, Dominus Lapidus, and his Q, Planet Befall. You can pretty much level these up in tandem because they're both equally important to his kit. When you level up Dominus Lapidus, you're going to get some additional scaling on each Stone Steel tick, as well as some resonance damage. When you hold it, you're going to generate his shield, and as you level it up, you're going to get some better absorption on his shield as well, equating to his max HP. As you can see, shield duration is 20 seconds, cooldown on his hold is 12 seconds, which means he does have 100% uptime on his shield, making him one of the best supports in the game, and it's going to make it so it's going to be pretty hard, if not just impossible, to die using him. Next is Planet Befall. It's a giant nuke. Scaling is pretty high on this one. At level 8, you can see 770% skill damage. As you level this up, you're going to get a little bit more petrification duration, although it's pretty negligible if I'm being honest. I believe it goes from like 2.5, 2.6 up to 4 seconds at the max. So I wouldn't really worry about raising this up to much higher than 8 unless you really want to min-max your Zhongli. Cooldown is going to be 12 seconds. Energy cost is one of the lowest in the game at 40, which makes it so you don't have to build a ton of energy recharge on him. Now, we've went over talents, we've went over constellations. I suppose we can go over his passives real quick. Resonant Waves is just going to increase his shield strength as it takes damage. That can stack up to 5 times, making it so his shield's basically never going to break. Next, Dominance of Earth. This was something that was integrated way back when everybody was complaining about Zhongli and he ended up getting his buff. It's going to give you bonus damage based on his max HP for his entire kit. Normal attacks and charge attacks, Dominus Lapidus, and Planet Befall are all going to get additional scaling based on his HP. Usually with Zhongli, if you're going to build him as a shield bot, obviously you can go... Zhongli, please stop talking. Oh my god. It's one of the worst things about this character. As I was saying, if you do want to go with a shield bot build for Zhongli, I would recommend you can either run Staff of Homo, or if you are free to play and you don't have Staff, you can run the White or Black Tassel, whichever one of those is going to give you the HP percent sub. I don't remember which one it was. But you can reach, if you want to run HP on all of his artifacts, you can reach about 50k, and that's going to make it so basically your entire team is invincible and they're never going to die. But Zhongli is going to do less damage as a result. Now, what I would recommend for people that decide to actually invest into Zhongli is to go for a sub-DPS kind of build. This, you're going to want to shoot for between 30-35k HP. This is going to result in him having a very strong shield that's almost never going to break, and he's actually going to be able to do some damage as well. So as you can see, we got 1800 attack here, looking at 51, 176 crit rate to crit damage. Usually you want to go for a 1-to-2 ratio, but my artifacts aren't the best. However, this is a pretty good starting point for him. As you can see, I also have 37k HP. This is usually around the stats that you want to shoot for a sub-DPS support Zhongli, and this is the build that I would recommend to most people if you were deciding to actually invest into him. Now that we've talked about weapons, artifacts, constellations, and talents, last thing I do want to go over before we do a little bit of a showcase are going to be his team comps. So let's jump into that real quick. Now for Zhongli's team comps, he's very much not picky at all. You can throw him into basically any team and he's going to do his job just fine. However, my favorite team comp with Zhongli is 100% going to be the Unga Bunga Mono Geo team. It's really fun, it's pretty brainless as well, especially if you have Goro C4, you can run him as your solo healer so you don't have to run Bennett alongside them and you can actually go full Geo. But this is one of the best teams that you can put Zhongli in my opinion. Now, that being said, Zhongli, like I said before, is going to fit into any team you throw him in, and he's going to do his job fine. So don't worry about team cons too much. Just throw him in, whatever team you're running, and he's going to get the job done. He's going to carry you through the Abyss. Now let's do a quick showcase on our board Tortellini here. We're going to launch it at the level 90, of course. No treasure, we already know that. We'll run it with the Mono Geo just to see what he's capable of. Now, we are going to be getting Geo Resonance here, so take that into account. Also, my Zhongli is pretty built and has level 11 talents, so you could expect yours to do a little bit less damage than this as you build them. So let's start with this. Didn't crit. Okay, so we're looking at about 5k every tick with his Dominus Lapidus when you crit. Let's get his ult up real quick. Come on, big guy. There we go. As far as ult damage is concerned, looking at about 87k with the Geo Resonance when you are sitting around a 170 crit damage ratio. Again, you can probably expect your crit damage to be a little lower than this if you're going to shoot for a perfect 1-to-2 ratio, but this is basically what you can expect from a medium investment Zhongli. That being said, I'm just going to finish up this fight here with our boy Ito. I will say, I'm planning on to do a Ito showcase soon. He's one of my favorite characters in the game, a super fun character. We're just going to skip this, doesn't really matter. I've already shown you guys what Zhongli can do. Just exit out of this. Alright, so we went over basically everything we can with Zhongli. We went over weapons, artifacts, constellations, talents, team comps. Like I said before, Zhongli is one of the most versatile support characters in the game, and you cannot go wrong pulling him. Like I reiterated in the beginning of the video, I will say, if you are struggling to complete Abyss within the time limit, I would recommend running or wishing for Ganyu opposed to Zhongli. And if you are struggling to actually survive in the Abyss and your characters are dying a lot, Zhongli is going to be a great choice to carry you through. That being said, it's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in this video. If you guys have any more questions about the character, guide, showcase, whatever they may be, please drop in the comments below. I check them every single day, and you guys have a great good one. Fuck. That was such a scuffed outro. Whatever. See you guys. Bye.